Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video I am going to be giving you my match reaction for the Lask Manchester United game that's just ended. Lask Linz 0, Manchester United 5 in the last 16 of the Europa League first leg. So it's more than likely now that Manchester United have progressed to the last day of the competition. Of course, the second leg at Old Trafford is next week. But very, very good performance by Manchester United. Obviously, we did know it was going to be very, very different. Of course, there was playing behind closed doors, which means obviously, there was no spectators there due to the coronavirus. But as you all know, a lot of games have been, postponed, around the globe because of the coronavirus and that. So it has, it is really having a bad effect. Obviously, we know that Lask aren't that good. Obviously, the only thing I do know about Lask is that, they are top of the Austrian league and they are on course to win their first Austrian title since 1965, which is around 55 years ago now. And actually, this evening, this was the first ever competitive meeting between Manchester United and Lask. But I did say, didn't I, in my preview that I was very convinced that Manchester United were going to win this game. And I actually predicted a 3-0 win to Manchester United. But like I mentioned, didn't I, the Europa League is a priority for Manchester United. It is a chance of us, of getting some. It is a chance of getting some silverware on the board this season, and it is also another route to Champions League qualification. But so Solskjaer, did make around 5 changes from the 2-0 win against Manchester City last Sunday. Obviously, we do know that Wan-Bissaka wasn't involved. I think he remained in the UK, if I'm right. Obviously, Anthony Martial didn't make the trip because he came off injured against Manchester City. I think he had a collision with the goalpost, did Anthony Martial, but Solskjaer will be hopeful that he can be back for the game on Sunday against Tottenham. Obviously, we do know that there was no Paul Pogba. Solskjaer has recently given us some news on Paul Pogba, and he did say that Paul Pogba is expected to return to full training next week. So Paul Pogba is stepping up his fitness regime. Obviously, I thought the players that played well this evening for Manchester United, I thought Williams had a really, really good game. He was playing at right back, was Brandon Williams, because obviously, Pisaka wasn't available, like I mentioned. Diego Dalot, wasn't available, so we put Brandon Williams at right back, but he did really, really well. Romero, he basically had nothing to do in the game, so he was very, very quiet with Sergio Romero. I thought Bay did really, really well at the back, he came into the team, did Eric Bay. I thought Maguire at the back again, did really, really well. Bruno Fernandes, he made another fantastic impact. He created around 5 chances in the first half, did Bruno Fernandes. And like I mentioned, he's really making the difference in the team. Is Bruno Fernandes, definitely making the difference in the team. Course, got an assist again. I think that's his 4th assist now for Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes. McTominay and Fred did really, really well in our midfield. They complemented each other fantastically well, did McTominay and Fred. And I'll give you my overarching view on Fred, and I do really believe he's improving as a Manchester United player. And a lot of aspects of Fred's game have improved. I think he got 2 assisted, Fred, if I'm right. But, like I mentioned, when we had him under Jose Mourinho, Fred never really got the opportunity. But, since Solskjaer's come in, Fred has been given a lot of opportunities, and, he has done really, really well as Fred. Got to say, he has really rejuvenated himself. Manchester United did pay around £50 million to him, but he was also very, very good during his time in Ukraine, was Fred. But I've got to say, we are now getting the best out of Fred, so that's very, very good to see. I've just read some of the stats. We did actually, create a lot of chances in the game, so we could have won by more than 5 goals. I think we created a good 20-odd chances. I think we had 20-odd shots in the game, and we were so better than Lask. Lask had their moments where they did have some chances, but we totally dominated the game. And, we are in a good run of form now. We are unbeaten in our last 11 games in all competitions. And it's just since the arrival of Bruno Fernandes, all of a sudden, we just look a different team. Now we're playing as a unit, we're playing as a team. We're making them recovery runs, and it's very, very good to see as a Manchester United fan. So in this 11-game unbeaten run, we have won 8 now, we have drawn 3. I think we've scored around 29 goals. We've kept 9 clean sheets and only conceded 2. And this is our best run of form since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. So this is very, very good to see. So now we'll delve into the goals. So the first goal was from Odin Ighalo. That was Odin Ighalo's 4th goal for Manchester United in 3 starts. You know, I knew Odin Ighalo was going to be starting tonight because obviously Anthony Martial wasn't available. And, you know, Odin Ighalo is the vocal point. And like I mentioned, he is a good cover-up to Marcus Rashford, is Odin Ighalo. And Solskjaer did recently make an admission saying that he could make Odin Ighalo's transfer permanent and that. But, you know, he's doing really, really well. And obviously, you know, a lot of people were coming out criticising us, saying, you know, he's a panic buy and that. But I've got to say, so far, Odin Ighalo has proved all his criticisers wrong. I've got to be honest with you. But took his goal really, really well. Had quite a few touches did Odin Ighalo before he scored the goal, but it was a spectacular volley. The technique of it and everything was just absolutely sublime, and that was 1-0. You know, Bruno Fernandes has been involved in a lot of our goals, you know, since he's come in. But yeah, that was 1-0. And our second goal came from Daniel James. I've got to say, Daniel James made a fantastic impact tonight. He could have had more than 1 goal because, you know, he had some good chances. You know, Juan Mata, he did score in the game, but, you know, he could have had a few other goals because Juan Mata did have a big chance in the first half. But yeah, you know, that was Daniel James's first goal for Manchester United since the 31st of August, and it was Odin Ighalo that got the assist for Daniel James's second. So Odin Ighalo got his name on the score sheet and also got an assist, which was very, very good to see. It was a good goal from Daniel James, cut inside the defender, hit it, was it on his left or right foot, and he went in, and that was 2-0. The third goal came from Juan Mata. It was a lovely threaded pass from Fred, by the way, to find Juan Mata. Lovely threaded pass by Fred. And, you know, it was a lovely, lovely finish by Juan Mata, and that was 3-0. And then, of course, Manchester United did bring some substitutions on in the game. Obviously, you know, we saw Pereira come on. We saw Chong come on. Don't forget, earlier on this week, Chong committed his long-term future with Manchester United because he did sign a new contract with the football club. He did sign a contract with the club until 2022 with an option of a further year. So Chong did sign a 2-year deal. Don't forget, Inter Milan went in for Chong. But I thought when Chong came on, you know, he made a big impact. I think he's made around, is it 14 or 15 first-team appearances since he joined from Feyenoord back in 2016. But yeah, you know, they're the substitutions that Manchester United brought on. Our 4th goal was from Mason Greenwood. Very, very good goal from Mason Greenwood. Very, very good goal from Mason Greenwood. And it was Chon that got the assist for Mason Greenwood. I think Mason Greenwood's shot came off the inside of the post, if I'm right. And the 5th goal was from Andres Pereira. It was a long ranger that went into the back of the net, and Fred had got the assist for that. But yeah, very, very good performance by Manchester United. It was very, very good to see us play like that. And that, you know, is one of our biggest wins under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Well, put into the equation would be Club Brugge by 5-0 at Old Trafford in the previous round. We've had quite a few big wins now under Solskjaer. Obviously, you know, won this evening 5-0 against Lask. You know, beating Bruges 5-0 like I've just mentioned. You know, we beating Cardiff 5-1. That was Solskjaer's first game as Manchester United manager. We also beat Tranmere by 6-0 in the FA Cup. So we've had quite a few big wins. We're beating Chelsea on the opening day of the season by 4-0. And now Manchester United are starting to build momentum, which is very, very good to see. But I think Manchester United, you know, will look even more better, you know, when Rashford comes back from injury. Obviously, we do know that Marcus Rashford reportedly could be out for the rest of the season. I'm hopeful that, you know, we can see Rashford back in action, you know, before the end of the season. As you all know, he has got a back injury. It'll also be very, very good, you know, when Paul Pogba comes back into the team. You know, obviously, you know, Lee Grant's a long-term absentee. Our only long-term absentees now are Lee Grant and Marcus Rashford. But, you know, it's bloody, you know, Bruno Fernandes who's bringing that, you know, creativity and that flair in the team. You know, because take him out of the equation, you know, there isn't a lot of creativity in the team. But, you know, when Paul Pogba does come back, we'll see even more creativity than what we're seeing now. I've got to credit Luke Shaw again tonight. I thought, you know, he had a really, really good game. And I think since Luke Shaw has come back from injury, he has done very, very very well, sorry. And, you know, a lot of people have been critical of Luke Shaw. You know, a lot of United fans were criticising him, you know, reflecting on the amount of injuries he's had. Obviously, when we had Mourinho, I had a bad relationship with Jose Mourinho, but Jose Mourinho had a lot of bad disputes with the top players. And obviously, you know, with his poor run of form, but since he's come back, he's done really, really well because Luke Shaw was out for 2 months. Luke Shaw did score last week against Derby. That was his second goal for the club since his arrival from Southampton back in 2014. And Luke Shaw's now, has he nearly made 200 appearances for Manchester United. But yeah, I thought everybody, you know, put a shift in this evening, you know, but I don't know the man of the match, to be quite honest with you, you know. I don't actually know the man of the match, but you know, we did really, really well. And yeah, I don't think there was one bad performer this evening. So yeah, so our next game is Tottenham away on Sunday in the Premier League. Now that's going to be a tough test for Manchester United, but I'm actually not very convinced that we can beat Tottenham because, like I put into the equation, we've done really, really well against elite opposition this season. I think we've registered like 17 points against elite opposition this season. With, you know, beaten Chelsea 3 times this season. Solskjaer's overcome Frank Lampard 3 times this season. Also, too, we've beaten PSG. That was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager at that point. But I think actually, you know, the game against City last Sunday was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager. And, you know, we've beaten City 3 times this season out of the 4 games we have played them. And, you know, I think Solskjaer's become the first manager to beat, you know, Man City 3 times in one season. So that's also very, very good to see. We drew with Liverpool earlier on in the season. With Solskjaer's beaten Tottenham, don't forget, twice as a manager. So this Sunday, he'll be looking to beat Tottenham for the 3rd time as a manager and already overcome Jose Mourinho once. So yeah, we've done well against the top 6 sides. We just haven't really replicated that against lower opposition. That's, you know, what's let Manchester United down. But I'm convinced, you know, we can definitely beat Tottenham because Tottenham are in a bad vein of form at the moment. Obviously, you know, they're no longer in the Champions League. They got knocked out by RP Leipzig, 3-0 at their ground, 1-0 at Tottenham, so they lost overall 4-0 on aggregate. You know, they're no longer in the FA Cup because they got knocked out by Norwich. So Tottenham can't win anything in terms of silverware this season. Tottenham's ambition now will be to finish either 4th or 5th so they can get qualification for the Champions League. Because if Tottenham don't get any European football, then reportedly, you know, their spending spree this summer will be limited. They'll be only able to spend around £50 million if they fail to qualify for Europe. But, you know, Tottenham are in a bad vein of form, like I mentioned. Obviously, you know, Tottenham have got Harry Kane out with injury. Tottenham seems to be nothing without Harry Kane. You know, he's been back in training recently, hasn't he? I think he's been out for a couple of months with his hamstring problem as Harry Kane. But there's been reports saying that he could be involved in the Euros. Tottenham have got they haven't got Heung-min Son. Don't forget, he's broke his arm. He could be out for the rest of the season. Yeah, Sissoko is out for Tottenham. And, you know, Jose Mourinho is tactically naive. So I think, you know, Tottenham need to get rid of Jose Mourinho. I think he's got a contract with Tottenham until the end of the 2022-2023 season. And he's on around £15 million a year. So is it just over double than what Mauricio Pochettino was on? But, you know, Tottenham made a mistake by getting rid of Mauricio Pochettino. But, you know, Jose Mourinho, you can't take anything away from him for what he's done because he was a good manager back in the day. He's got a very, very good pedigree. He's won 25 major honours in his managerial career as Jose Mourinho. But he's just finished now at the top level as a manager as Mourinho. Obviously, don't forget, we had him for 2.5 years at Manchester United. He did win the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season with the football club. Got second in his first season, but obviously, you know, it didn't work out, you know, under Jose Mourinho at Manchester United. Because from my own perception, I think, you know, we did recommend him in too late. Don't forget, Tottenham have lost quite a few of their key players. You know, they lost Danny Rose to Newcastle in January. They obviously lost Christian Eriksen after he endured 6 or 7 years with Tottenham. Obviously, They did recruit a few players in January. You know, they got Jedson Fernandez from Benfica. They also got Steven Bergwijn. But, you know, Tottenham, they've had quite a few good players up and down the generations. Obviously, you know, they had Bale, didn't they, for 6 years. You know, they had Luka Modric. And yes, so I'm actually not very, very convinced that Manchester United can definitely beat Tottenham on Sunday because, you know, we're starting to play really, really well now. Our football looks very expansive. We're scoring goals, we're creating chances. And this is something we were struggling to do earlier on in the season. But all of a sudden, since Bruno Fernandes has come in, everything has seemed to have changed. And I think if Manchester United can get around 3 or 4 signings this summer, I think we can be title contenders going on into next season. I think this is what Robbie Savage believes from his own perception because, you know, there is still deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed. Don't get me wrong. I think Solskjaer's revealed he wants about 3 signings in the summer. You know, he wants to bring a central striker in. He wants to bring a right winger in, and he also wants to bring a central midfielder in. So, and we have got quite a few players on our agenda who we could go in for in the summer. Solskjaer did recently reveal that he'd rather do he'd rather get our transfer business completed now rather than wait until the summer because he does know with certain players it does take a while to process in that because sometimes, you know, you do negotiate for a while getting certain players on the board and that. But, you know, to be fair, I've got to credit Solskjaer. You know, he showed a lot of tactical flexibility recently. A lot of tactical flexibility. He's been making the right decisions. I've got to also credit him because I think, you know, he has given the youngsters the chances, you know, that they've obviously, you know, wanted. You know, and since he come in overall, you know, everybody's been given the chances, you know, to express themselves, which is very, very good to see. But, you know, Solskjaer did say, you know, it's a privilege to be a man. It's a privilege to manage a young team like Manchester United because, you know, we have got a lot of young players. There's quite a few young players in their first season in the senior squad. Mason Greenwood's in his first season in the senior squad. I think that the Greenwood did score, like I mentioned. I think that's now his 12th goal in all competitions this season for the club. And yeah, in 20 odd first team appearances, is it? Like I said, you can play Mason Greenwood as a number 9. You can also play him on the right. But yeah, very, very good is Mason Greenwood. I'm actually surprised that I didn't start this evening. If it hadn't been for Odi Nagalo, then probably Mason Greenwood would have started. But, you know, he does seem to start more in like the cup games than he does in the Premier League. You know, he has started quite a few Premier League games this season. You know, he scored a spectacular goal against Watford, did Greenwood. But I definitely believe he can emulate to Marcus Rashford's level. And I think, you know, in the next couple of years, he will be a Galactico player, Will Mason Greenwood, and he's only, 18 or is he 19 years of age? Of course, I think Brandon Williams, very, very good player. You know, he's in his first season now in the senior squad. Like I mentioned, he was playing at right back this evening, even though he's predominantly a left back. But, you know, I think Luke Shaw's now our preferred option because Luke Shaw's now hit the ground running since he's come back. But Brandon Williams was first choice. But yeah, he did really, really well this evening. So I've got to give Brandon Williams a lot of credit. Obviously, like I mentioned, Angel Gomez. He's a player, you know, that isn't getting any chances at Manchester United. He's seldom plays as Angel Gomez, and I did say, you know, when's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer going to be convinced to give Angel Gomez his opportunities? Obviously, Solskjaer did give us an update regarding his contracts and that. Obviously, Angel Gomez's contract does expire at the end of the season, so I do presume we'll probably open negotiations up over getting Angel Gomez a new contract at the club. This is what we'll probably do. But yeah, you know, we shall see what happens. But he does need to be given more opportunities, does Angel Gomez, without a shadow of a doubt. But, you know, yeah, so there is a lot of young players in the squad. And, you know, Solskjaer, like he revealed, does still want to continue the policy of recruiting young players to Manchester United this summer. But, yeah, he's spent around 220 million Solskjaer since he come in. And, you know, on 5 players, of course. He's enjoyed 3 transfer windows. You know, obviously in the first window, Solskjaer didn't recruit any players in, but in the past 2 windows, he's recruited 5 players to the football club. And I've got to also admire him for the players that he's brought in because they've made a difference in the team. And, you know, Daniel James, my perception on him, I think I'm actually, you know, very, very surprised of how many games he's played this season. I didn't expect him, you know, to play as many games to the extent as he has done. But reflecting on, you know, how good he was at the start. This is why, he was getting a lot of starts, was Daniel James. But Solskjaer's definitely not been overplaying him. But like I mentioned, it was good to see him score this evening, Daniel James. But May just, wanted to play him a lot. We only paid, what, £15 million for him from Swansea. But I still got to say, he has been a good addition to the squad. But he hasn't been brilliant in the last month or so. He has seemed to capitulate a little bit. Wan-Bissaka, he was a good buy last summer from Crystal Palace. He was very, very good against Manchester City on Sunday. And we're now starting to see the attacking side of Wan-Bissaka's game, which is very, very good. His defensive contribution's good, his distribution's good, but I've got to say, he's done really, really well. And I've been very, very impressed with Harry Maguire. And I've got to say, he's addressed our defensive deficiencies. Manchester United paid, 80 million for him from Leicester last summer. He is the most expensive defender in the world, and he's the second most expensive signing at the football club, is Maguire at Manchester United. And I think, the club did make the right decision by giving him the captaincy on a permanent basis. We give him the captaincy reflection on Ashley Young's departure from the football club. But our first choice centre-halves are Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. And I think, when Lindelof's played alongside Maguire this season, they've complemented each other well. But I think when Bailly plays alongside Maguire, they seem to complement each other really, really well. So we have still got quite a lot of centre-halves in the team. We've got a lot of centre-halves in the team and that, but so many players have improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I've got to be honest with you. I think since McTominay, like I mentioned, has come back from that knee injury, he's also done really, really well for Manchester United. But it's good now to see that, we are playing as a team and, we are playing as a unit. And now maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got that right. He has got it right now. Like I said, Bruno Fernandes, he's predominantly number 10, and obviously Man United play him in that number 10. If you were to put him in another position, then maybe we wouldn't get the best out of Bruno Fernandes. But he's best when he's freed up, is Bruno Fernandes, and I'm looking forward to when Paul Pogba comes back, because I think Paul Pogba will, he wants to form a good partnership with Bruno Fernandes. I don't think Paul Pogba will be available for selection on Sunday against Tottenham, like Solskjaer said. He'll be training next week for Manchester United, which is positive news. Also, now Paul Pogba has committed his long-term future with Manchester United, because don't forget, he recently revealed that he wants to stay at the football club, Paul Pogba. He wants to stay at the club and he's interested in extending his contract at Manchester United. At the moment, Paul Pogba has got 2 years left on his contract. Well, it's a year with an option of a further year, which does make it 2 years. If he was to extend his contract, Paul Pogba, I think he would earn in the region of around £400,000 a week at Manchester United. But if we can give him a new contract, we can extend his contract, it will end his long-running transfer saga, because since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016, he has been subjected to a hell of a lot of transfer speculation as Paul Pogba. Obviously, last summer he revealed he wanted to leave the club because he did say he was seeking for a new challenge, and publicly admitted that he wanted to leave Manchester United. His preference last summer was a move to Real Madrid. Also, too, there was a lot of talks about him making a return back to Turin, because he did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus. Obviously, he was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation under Mourinho, because he did have a bad relationship with Jose Mourinho, did Paul Pogba. But it's good now he's close to returning. Obviously, Pogba has only played 8 times this season for the football club. His appearances have been limited due to the injuries he's had. But some people believe now we're better without Paul Pogba. And some people believe, we still need to keep Paul Pogba. Would generate a lot of money for him. If we did decide to sell him in the summer, we'd probably get minimum £100 million for him. But maybe, we should decide to keep Paul Pogba, because him and Bruno Fernandes in our midfield, like I mentioned, would complement each other fantastically well. So Paul Pogba, may now be staying at the football club. But, Manchester United, like I mentioned, have had a lot of injuries this season. We've had a lot of injuries this season. But obviously, now players are starting to come back. Like I mentioned, Bailly's just recently come back. McTominay's just recently come back. Luke Shaw's just come back not too long ago. Diego Dalot's, sustained quite a few injuries this season. So reflects on the injuries we've had anyway. Solskjaer's had to make a lot of rotation. he'll be making a lot of rotation now anyway, because Man United have got games coming up thick and fast. And it'll be interesting to see how he approaches the game against Tottenham on Sunday. I probably believe he may revert back to the 3-5-2 formation, because from my own perception, we look much better with 3 at the back. I think it's beneficial to probably go with the 3-5-2 when we're coming up against an elite opposition. But when he would go like against lower opposition like we did this evening, Solskjaer will probably stick with that 4-2-3-1 formation and that. But, I've got to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot of credit, because he's done really, really well recently. And I'll credit Solskjaer when he deserves to be credited, and I'll also criticise Solskjaer when he deserves to be criticised. But obviously, a lot of United fans, including me, earlier on in the season, were criticising Solskjaer. But, we have got quite a few ambitions this season. The Europa League's definitely a priority for us. It would be fantastic to win the Europa League. Analysing it, if we was to win the Europa League and the FA Cup this season, I can turn around and say we've enjoyed a really, really good season. And then obviously going on into next season, then we'll have, bigger expectations to exceed, definitely in that. And the FA Cup's a priority for us, because that's a chance of getting some silverware on the board. I do believe if Manchester United get qualification for the Champions League this season, qualification for the Champions League, for next season, then I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be given another season at the football club. Maybe even if we don't get qualification for the Champions League, then maybe he could still be given another season at Manchester United, because Solskjaer has been at the football club now over a year. I think he's been here now for nearly 15 months. Obviously, we give Solskjaer the job permanently, reflecting on what he did when he was the interim manager, because he did really, really well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. But like I said, the longer Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in the job, he's going to be gaining more experience. I still am sceptical, I'm still very, very sceptical, that he is the long-term solution for Man United. I still don't think he's good enough at the highest level, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But like I mentioned, time will tell, because it does take some managers time to settle in. So let's put that into the equation. But obviously, still a lot of our players are determined to back Solskjaer. Obviously, Ed Woodward was talking the other week, and, he laid the foundations for long-term success with him, and Woodward is determined to back him in the summer and that. But yeah, so like I've said, for how we was poor earlier on in the season, and a lot of people were criticising Solskjaer, but like I mentioned, not all of the blame stems from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The management, like I mentioned, isn't only the problem. Like I mentioned, this season, a lot of our fans have been doubting the club's ownership. Obviously, a lot of them have been criticising Ed Woodward. Obviously, a lot of United fans have been very sceptical about our board, because I don't like the way the football club has been run in the last 6 or 7 years or so, if I'm going to be quite honest with you in that. But, Manchester United haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers. Obviously, we've sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, we got rid of David Moyes, we got rid of Louis van Gaal, and we got rid of Jose Mourinho and that, even though Man United are not really known for a sacking football club. But like I mentioned, a hell of a lot of money's been spent at Manchester United, a hell of a lot of money, 60-odd million was spent under Moyes, 250-odd million was spent under Van Gaal. He brought players in, also players left. Jose Mourinho spent a good £400 million at the club, and he recruited 11 players in, and the vast majority of these players are Jose Mourinho. So taking into account, Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of them, and he's still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United team, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So basically, Solskjaer is looking to buy into our history. He's looking to buy into our history now. But I did say, didn't I, I'm hopeful that this team at this day and age can replicate what our team did under Alex Ferguson, because, we've had a lot of good players up and down the generations and that, but I want this team to replicate what the team did under Alex Ferguson and that. But I've got to say, Bruno Fernandes, my overarching view on him is that, he's definitely he is the best player, should I say, that we've brought in since the Alex Ferguson era, and we've recruited over 30 players since the Alex Ferguson era. Also, Dina Gallo's done really, really well for us. But I think now Manchester United have definitely got it right. So yeah, like I mentioned, your preview for the Tottenham-Manchester United game will be coming up. That should be tomorrow or Saturday. The preview will be coming up for the game against Tottenham. Obviously, there's been a lot of reports as well coming out saying that, the Premier League and that could be suspended due to this coronavirus that's been going around. So yeah, very, very good result this evening. Want to know your thoughts on the game. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.